certainly have appreciated Eileen's posts, and many of her writings have been
absolutely
very, very personal and very heartwarming.
Yeah.
So thanks. Okay, are we ready? All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight's council meeting, and thankful that you've joined us. Be it resolved that this agenda for the regular council meeting of August the 10th, 2021 be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
A seconder?
Marvin.
And are there any additions? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of July 27th, 2021 be adopted. Mover?
Don.
Seconder?
Karina.
Thank you. Don and Karina. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Going on to correspondence. We have a bulletin, proposed amendments on on-site wastewater management system regulations. Not sure if you've had a chance to read it, just maybe curious, any comments from anybody in regards to some of these changes, or Jody, if there's anything there that you're concerned about?
No concern, just added it. It doesn't really affect us very much, but it does affect Arm of Stanley, who are part of our wastewater treatment facility project, and so I thought I'd put it on as correspondence.
Okay.
Have they expressed any thoughts to it? Obviously, the big change to them is the extension of the deadline to connect from 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so when this came out, Dale had went through some questions with them to make sure they understood what their requirements would be.
But it doesn't affect their commitment to the funding that we're going to need and
Not
that
at
they've
all.
already committed to.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. The next item is a letter from the Minister of Infrastructure, Ron Schuler. A little bit delayed from February 16th letter to July 27th reply, but they're busy people. The request obviously is still being denied, and I think Scott is still trying to work with their staff to get them to take another look at it.
Yeah, it would require an traffic impact study before they'll take any further steps with it.
And that was kind of my thought there on that last sentence. In terms of that, I've asked staff to connect with the city engineer. At this point in time, obviously, we have no capacity internally to handle any of that, as Scott noted.
Nor budget at the moment.
Either one, but to do that. So we don't yet know if those conversations have had or have not even that conversation been had.
Scott's been in regular correspondence with his counterpart, essentially, with MI. So, and that's where we found out that we would need the traffic impact study. I think that's the gist of how it went.
I guess the email response that I sent in regards to this, first of all, thanking them for their letter, but yet at the same time, I see such a double standard. You're so concerned about the traffic at this intersection, at a half a mile down the road, you can go 100 kilometers an hour, which is in the Arm of Stanley, which was one of the requests that they made and we supported to reduce that speed limit there. So it's the inconsistency that troubles me, and I know it troubles the Arm of Stanley. How do you go from zero intersection at 50K to go to multiple intersections at 80 and 100K? So I don't want to go to them and say, well, no, one of these intersections has to close, but yet at the same time, at least they could do is bring the speed limit down to 50 so that they could get past that. So
My suggestion would be that, and I think since knowing how busy Schuler is with our area this time, suggest a letter saying that we would like to respond and to have a discussion, but as he knows, we are busy with this right now. So just so that he doesn't get the idea all of a sudden that that was it.
no, the response I had, he knows it's not it.
Good.
Like Martin, you responded directly to.
Oh, you did already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think on
That's
the
all I noted, you know, that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing is that Scott has, our staff has good relationship with their counterparts there. And I think my hope is eventually something will come in terms of change, though.
Was it noted about the NPC evacuation area? Because they
yes.
use that parking lot across the street
Yes,
for
it
their
is.
evacuation.
But
Parking
apparently
lot.
that made no difference. At least Scott
Oh.
made note of that when the application first of all went in.
Okay, that's
the
too bad.
intersection. Well, matter of fact, we checked with NPC and to them, that part didn't make any difference because they'd have to walk across the road in any case.
Okay.
Next is a letter from the Board of Revision 2022 assessment roll and the date for the tentative date for the Board of Revision, Thursday, November 4th, 7 p.m. We have been fortunate enough in the last number of years not to have to sit on that Board of Revision because all of the issues were resolved beforehand. So this gives them time to be able to do it. But if you would mark your calendars down as a tentative.
Sent out that reminder.
He's already sent the invoice, right? Yeah.
The invoice or the event?
The invoice.
Invite.
You're billing?
On to finance, be it resolved that the accounts payable amount of $596,686.66 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. And any questions regarding the check register?
Would it that they would always be only this size?
Hey, don't worry about it, Henry. They will get bigger.
That's what I'm saying.
And not too long from now. We'll be seeing millions again. Okay, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Next one, the financial reports. Be it resolved, the monthly financial report and monthly statements to June 2021 be received for information. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew.
Any questions regarding the reports? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Whereas Winkler Stanley Economic Development Corporation is pursuing a joint initiative between the City of Winkler and the Arm of Stanley for the creation of a business development immigration officer position. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Winkler agree to join with the Arm of Stanley to co-host the position and approve the funding request of a 50-50 split basis over a 5-year term. Mover.
Henry Siemens.
Seconder.
Marvin?
And any discussion or further clarification?
I look forward to seeing that develop.
And I received a note that the Arm of Stanley has already approved theirs, so.
It's great.
I think this is a really important piece to do. I'm a tiny bit concerned, despite the fact that I sit on the committee and I heartily endorse this. The fact that it's a bit of a blank check in 50-50 cost share without numbers attached to it, without a thought of what the escalator clause could or should maybe be over the course of those 5 years. I think
But the
that's,
number that they have quoted is 120 a year, so.
and if in fact we put that number in here, would give me some additional comfort, but I think
Right.
that likely handcuffs that group
Yeah.
somewhat.
But it'll come as a budget item, so we have the ability to deal with it on an annual basis.
Not quite though. We say we're going to cost share on a 50-50 basis and we put absolutely no parameters on it whatsoever. So that is a tiny bit of a concern on that piece, obviously.
I agree.
Did we not have that in the first? Like, because this isn't the first time that it came forward.
Correct.
And we tabled it until Arm of Stanley had brought it forward as well. At that point, was the dollar not included?
Well, it's 120. is what
Right,
it is.
exactly.
That's-
Was it
that's
not
what-
included at that point?
Well, we never
Not in
had,
the
we,
Oh, I guess because
we simply had a presentation.
Right.
and then-
Yeah.
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 What
But
about,
we have enough evidence though with the
Yeah.
presentation that was given and the information that is in writing, what their proposal is, so.
what
I'm
about
not
if we,
as concerned.
yeah, if we would put in as agreed upon by both parties?
I would have no problem adding that.
And then it's, then we have a voice
Yeah.
if we don't feel comfortable. Would that help?
I would consider that a friendly amendment.
Okay.
So we could add that after
After-
cost share the position and approve the funding request on a 50-50 basis as agreed upon by both parties.
Over a
Mhm.
5-year term.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Marvin.
Okay. No, I
No,
agree.
that fits.
I think, yeah, I think it was implied.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not good enough.
Because
Challenge.
that's what I was going on based on the
Exactly.
documentation that we have and their minutes and what they presented to council, so.
The challenge
Pretty well.
is 4 years from now, there's a council resolution, and if there isn't the back story to it,
Yeah.
it potentially gets us into trouble.
It's good.
Okay,
Good to
all in
have.
favor with that addition?
Absolutely.
That's carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2269-21 be read a first time to submit to the municipal board for approval. Mover,
Andrew?
seconder? And any comments or questions regarding the bylaw?
Do we?
That's where your extra money comes in.
Yeah, I see.
And there it is. Do we need to do 5.4 before we do this one?
I guess we do. Yes, we do. Sorry. Okay. Be it resolved that we award the debenture to finance mechanical wastewater treatment facility to RBC Insurance, the amount of $10,592,613 at the rate of 2.53% over a 13-year fixed term. Mover,
Henry Siemens?
seconder,
Andrew?
and any further conversation, discussion regarding that? Hearing none, all in favor? That is carried. Now be it resolved that bylaw number 2269-21 be read a first time and submitted to the municipal board for approval. Mover,
Andrew?
seconder,
Marvin?
and any further comments? None? All in favor? That is carried.
It's great to be here.
Finally,
Mhm. Thanks
And-
to our city staff for the
Yeah.
tireless amount of work that they
Yeah.
put in.
then
Well,
over
and-
and over again.
And that work is only going to continue now, so.
That it will.
Yeah. But at least there's hope now.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
We approve that one.
Mhm.
Be it resolved that the Winkler Fire Department month-end reports for July 2021 be received for information. Mover,
Michael?
seconder. Any questions, comments regarding that report? Hearing none, all in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2268-21 to place water use restriction measures be read the second time. Mover,
Andrew?
seconder.
Marvin?
And just for record's sake, half an inch of rain or an inch of rain doesn't solve our problem. So, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2268-21 to place water use restriction measures be read a third and final time. Mover,
Andrew?
thank you. Seconder,
Marvin?
thank you, Marvin. And all in favor? And that is carried.
Not a fun one to pass.
No,
No.
no, it is not. There's going to be a lot of sad faces. Be it resolved that the Discovery Nature Sanctuary meeting minutes for June the 26th meeting be received for information. Mover,
Michael?
seconder.
Karina.
Thank you. Any questions regarding those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. And we come to a great part for tonight, the community spotlight being the Pemmican Valley Pregnancy Care Center. Welcome here. Look at how many millions we can spend in.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good evening, Worship, members of the council. Thanks for your hard work. Some of it we see, some of it we don't. Lots of time and effort to serve the residents of Winkler. My prayer is that you would lead with wisdom and make decisions with great care and discernment that will serve the community now and into the future. And I join you in praying for rain.
Yes.
I'm pleased to share a little bit about pregnancy care. And with that, a massive thank you for the financial support in the last few years. That means a lot to us and the women, the men, students, couples, and families that we serve. Everything we offer is free and confidential. And we have locations in Winkler, Morden, and recently we've expanded to Altona as well. Because whether it's planned or unexpected, or in often the cases we see, unexpected and complicated, people need support when facing these surprising and disrupting circumstances. Last year, with COVID being what it was, unique and challenging year for all of us in different ways, but our numbers were a little bit lower. We just about 80 people come in for health and supports. Our highest year on record was almost 140. So we know that there's a need in the region that haven't gone away. In the coming weeks and months, we'll be relocating our Winkler space. As you probably know, Central Station is starting construction soon at Main Plaza. So we're going to bump out of the way, but that's important work to move forward to. This fall, we're going to be relaunching our Steps in Hope program that had to be canceled because of restrictions in the last year. It's a support group for women who are impacted by miscarriage, loss, and stillbirth. So unfortunately, with restrictions, we just couldn't carry that out, but we're hopeful for this fall to be able to offer that again. So thank you. That funding came from the Morden Area Foundation, so we're grateful for that. In my 15 years with pregnancy care, we have seen hundreds of clients for a wide range of concerns. With the exchange for confidentiality, here's a few stories. Zoe came in because she was pregnant at 16. Her boyfriend was pressuring her to end the pregnancy. She wanted the baby, but she didn't know what to do. Samantha found herself crying at the grocery store, in church, or anywhere else that she saw a baby or a pregnant woman. She had miscarried twice in the past few years, and the grief was overwhelming for her. Justin came in because his girlfriend decided to end the pregnancy, even though he wanted her to have a baby. He felt powerless, and he didn't know how to make sense of things. Men do not have the legal right for input into that decision, but they do have the legal obligation to pay parental support if she chooses to have the baby. Andrea stopped by. She had a big mix of feelings, mostly anger and sadness. She had just come from the doctor's office where she learned about the ultrasound results, and the baby did not look healthy, and she was advised to terminate. Andrea very much loved and wanted this baby, and even though the chances of survival were almost none, she wanted to continue on to give this baby a chance. Barb and Glenn reached out to us because their young adult daughter was pregnant and living away from home for the school year. They were totally shocked and disappointed, and they really weren't sure how to help across the distance. We've also seen women who have ended their pregnancy and they're looking for healing. They live with regret and wish they had taken more time or received more information when making that decision, but it was recently, years, or decades ago. We did see a woman, she found our pamphlet one time. She came in after 46 years of living with her abortion secret. And she said, I never knew there was a place I could come to talk to about this. And so the healing and the freedom she found, right, to just break the silence was huge for her. We offer baby and maternity items. We know people in our community struggle to make the ends meet. COVID has made that worse in some ways. And so the practical costs of raising a child, it's expensive. We have prenatal learning sessions. We can help with co-parenting relationships if there's instability there for people, budgets, parenting in general, and lots more depending on what that person needs. Sometimes the pregnancy isn't the issue, but other things surrounding it, addictions, housing, whatever. In the past few months, we're really pleased to share that we've established a partnership to offer free prenatal vitamin to women in need in our community. So we're excited about that. So we're here for these and many other scenarios because we believe that life matters, pregnancy matters, people matter, wages matter, and choice matters. And in the most difficult of circumstances, people need to know that there's hope. Everyone on our team serves because we love God and we love others, all board, staff, and volunteers. We believe everyone deserves care and support when facing tough decisions, and everyone has the right to accurate information. You know, it's a noisy culture. There's a lot of information out there. There's also a lot of pressure to make decisions quickly. So it's important to have time and space in all of that. Knowing the realities, the risks, and the benefits and alternatives of your options is really what making an informed decision is all about. So we believe our role is not to choose for her. We can't make decisions for her, just like we can't raise her kid, pay her boyfriend, or live her life. So that's not our goal. We believe the decision is hers to make, and undoubtedly there will be outcomes that she will have to live with. We believe our calling is to be present with her, create a safe place for her, present the truth in love, be courageous with her in the midst of tremendous pressure from family and partners. But most importantly, our calling is to love and respect her no matter what. Whether she creates an adoption plan, whether she ends the pregnancy or welcomes a baby into her household. She needs to know that she's valued and loved, and she is always welcome in our space. Because we've all made mistakes, and we all need second chances, and we all need hope that tomorrow can be better than today. No one would want their deepest, darkest secret, or the thing that they're most feeling ashamed about, flash across social media or the front page of our paper. So when someone reaches out for help, we know they do that with great bravery, and things have become a little too much for them to handle on their own. So we extend that hope and healing. We bring valuable perspective that will hopefully break through that tunnel vision, panic and fear and shame and those really quick decisions, because we know that leads to regret. We have emotional and practical support for her, and if she's interested, spiritual care is. We're here for her, for him, for whoever is impacted by this pregnancy, because even one person living with regret because they didn't have access to support is one person too many. But because of you and your partnership, because of the generous folks in our community, the partnership like United Way, people like Zoe and Samantha and Justin have a safe place to get help that they need right here in Winkler. So thank you again for being a part of this local community service, the Ministry of Compassion and Hope and Love. And thanks for standing up with us in this intense moment. Okay.
Awesome, thank you very much. Any council have any questions for her?
Just a huge thank you. That is a very vulnerable position to put yourself into, and to do it for 15 years and to feel those emotions like you feel. To genuinely serve is a rare treat, and we are incredibly fortunate as a region to have you leading them. So thank you.
Amen.
And I appreciate that as well. And from a personal perspective, every life matters. To me, life begins at conception. However, we know that there's people who make choices. One of the conversations that I've been involved with as recent as last week is in regards to the difficulty that we face with adoption processes within our own country. The options for abortion are much easier to do than to go through the adoption process. And we know literally hundreds, if not thousands of people who would just wait with open arms to receive a baby if it was available. My question is, what can we do, or what should be done from the province's perspective to make adoption easier?
I'm asking me or?
No, it's not a rhetorical question. It's a real sincere question that was on the table and honestly looking for an answer. What are the stumbling blocks?
Yeah, you know, in brief, we can't speak for the provincial government.
No, but from your perspective.
From my perspective, A lot has shifted in our culture, I would say, in the last number of decades around perception of unplanned pregnancy or single parenting. And so we've seen a rise for sure in social services and programming that makes single parenting a lot more feasible
Right.
than it once was.
And that's great.
So people might have mixed feelings about that, but the reality is there is a much stronger social safety net for those situations. And there's just been shifting attitudes around in our culture around sexuality, casual partnerships, and what that all means. And so I think there's more unplanned pregnancy happening that way. And the answer is, for some people, it's always education. But in theory, if we're the most educated at this point in history, hasn't been very effective, in my opinion. I think it comes back to valuing, right?
Yeah.
Making honoring choices. In our conversations, we always talk about all of the options because we know she will be either pressured into something or someone will mention it with good intentions. And so the choice to adopt for her, what we've seen is very rare. But in all that we've studied and know, it's an incredibly brave and sacrificial decision.
Yeah.
But it's one that she makes out of love,
Mhm.
out of great love for her baby and also for her own well-being. Because no one is served well if you try to do something beyond your capacity.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a beautiful and honoring decision that she made. While it's heartbreaking, what we hear is it starts out as deep sadness and grief, and over time turns to peace and joy because she knows she's made the right decision for all the people involved. On the provincial government front, we know from other people who have worked through an adoption process, management has very, very stringent parameters around adoption for their reasons, their studies, or looking into birth order, for example, or family structure, those kinds of things. When clients are interested in adoption, we let them know that the local Child and Family Services office could help them with that. They can find a lawyer or they can pursue things through adoption option. So that's our approach to adoption. We know that families come together in all sorts of ways. Sometimes they're a little more straightforward, sometimes a little messier. But if children are being loved and cared for in safe, stable environments, yeah, that's a good first step.
Appreciate it.
I don't know how to respond to that, but we have met with people interested in adoption.
Right.
And it's heartbreaking to know you're on an endless wait
Yep.
list.
Yeah.
I can echo those comments in terms of how difficult that process is. Both of our children joined us through adoption, one through Adoption Options, a private agency, and one through CFS. And the fact that two girls in a very difficult place had loving people to walk with them made a huge decision, a huge difference in their lives to be able to make an impossible decision somehow possible. And we're blessed now with a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old that we would never have had if somebody had not made a really brave decision and chose to step into that. And I'm forever thankful to those girls for making that decision, and just to see how important it was for them to have someone with them through that. Because at that point in time, those decisions are impossible to make on your own. And they had people that walked with them, that helped them to get to that place. And it got to a place that there's two amazing kids in my family today through it. So thank you again, as Karina has already said, for stepping into that supportive role. Having gone through it only twice, I can see how tremendously emotional it is and how heart-wrenchingly hard it must be so many different times. So thank you.
Again, Linda, thank you so much for all you do, because you're a vital part of our community, because we are a caring community and we want to ensure that people feel that they're cared for. You're doing a great job. Appreciate it. Thanks for your
Thanks, Linda.
presentation.
And reach out anytime, my card's there. Like you. Thanks for your time and
Thank you.
Thank you. And we've come to the end of our council meeting. And do you have any questions, or do you want to take me out in woodshed, or? Okay, then I will therefore be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Hoover? Michael? Karina? All in favor? That's carried. Meeting adjourned. I think as council, we're going to have a few minutes after, so.
Correct.